Hello and welcome back to Life's Biggest Questions. I'm Ron Mackenzie Lafergie. The wailing banshee can be found in countless works of fantasy across the world. From literature to film to video games, these women lamenting in advance the death of others are everywhere. Most people nowadays believe them to be creatures of myth, but what if they actually existed? Let's explore. If you want more what if videos, check out our biggest what ifs playlist on the channel. Now get ready, it's time to ask the question, what if banshees were real? The story of the banshee has rather interesting origins. In 8th century Ireland, certain women would make a living by singing a sad song to lament the death of another. These women were called keeners, who varied a good deal in skill, with the most talented being of high demand. It is upon these women that the legend of the banshee was based, but rather than singing after the death of someone, a banshee would sing in advance of a person's death, anywhere from minutes to days before their demise. This song is often described as a piercing scream, but can also be more melodious. Physically, the banshee has been described in a number of ways. Sometimes she's a beautiful woman wearing a shroud, sometimes she wears a white dress with long red hair, other times she has a silver dress and silver hair. Darker depictions say she has glowing red eyes and long white hair, or, more gruesome still, that she has no head and carries a bowl of blood. On the bright side, some banshees are depicted as topless, so it isn't all that bad. Oh, never mind. Banshees are said to be an omen of death. While many depictions in film and video games show them to be dangerous creatures that kill weary travelers, that isn't necessarily the case. The classic Irish legend says that they merely foretell the death of people. They don't actually kill anything. They aren't even all evil creatures. Sometimes a banshee will cry out in sorrow when someone they loved is soon to die. However, other times when the banshee is more vengeful and malign, she will cry in celebration that one who had harmed her or one who deserved death would soon die. Stories of how one becomes a banshee vary a great deal, but they often involve a woman dying violently, either being murdered or dying in childbirth. Many believe that these women return as banshees, watching over their families and lamenting their deaths. Some accounts claim that banshees only lament the death of descendants of pure Milesian stock of Ireland, with one banshee per family, meaning people with surnames of O and Mac. However, to make this more interesting, we'll assume that banshees come from any family. So what would happen if these loud ladies actually existed? Well, their effects on people would likely depend on how the people acted. Those who acted well and drew the love of the banshee might hear truly sorrowful singing as their death approached, and perhaps would see a more beautiful vision. This could help to give them courage in the face of their imminent death. On the other hand, those who mistreated their family and others and drew the ire of their family banshee would hear an eerie and distressing sound, and see a much more gruesome banshee, like the headless one. Ugh. It's possible that this would cause people to treat others with more care, especially their family, hoping to hear a kinder banshee when their time comes. That said, the mere thought of hearing a spooky song and seeing a scary woman before you die isn't really the worst punishment in the world. Most people who would have acted poorly would still do so. Christians believe that acting badly will earn them an eternity of suffering, and yet many do still choose to harm others. If an eternity in hellfire doesn't do it, I'm not so sure a song will, even if it is as bad as the most jarring noise ever, the THX sound. But even though it's unlikely that people would change their actions in life, the songs of the banshees would certainly affect how people acted once they heard the singing. If you heard the sound of the banshee, you would spend the rest of your life, short as it may be, full of paranoia. You would know death was coming, but you wouldn't know how it would happen or when. This might cause people to hold themselves up in an attempt to escape their fate. For others, hearing the call of the banshee would bring about an attitude that can only be described with the use of an acronym, YOLO. These people, knowing that they would soon die, would become much more reckless. While this might be harmless to them, since they'd be dying soon anyway, it's possible that some reactions would endanger others. Going skydiving is good. Jumping off a building into a crowd of people is bad. Violent, mentally unstable individuals might even use this as an excuse to go out guns blazing and kill innocent people. When people know in advance that they're going to die, it's difficult to predict how they'll react. That said, it's likely that the song of a banshee would come as a relief to some. Those who were deathly ill or who had grown world-weary in their old age might welcome the cry of the banshee, especially if it was the good kind, the kind with the head. It might allow them to live their last few days in peace, knowing that the end would soon come and their suffering would soon be over. This brings up a final point. If people knew in advance that they would soon die, it would allow people to get their affairs in order. It would of course be a scary and depressing time, but it would at least allow them to say their goodbyes and get their will sorted. This would be especially helpful for those who die in accidents, since they otherwise would have had no idea they were going to die. And now we return to our question, what if banshees were real? Well, it seems unlikely that they would actually change the way people acted in life, but it would certainly change how they acted in the time after hearing the banshees scream. Some would attempt to escape their fate, living as safely as possible in hopes of avoiding death. Others might go on a mad quest to finish their bucket list before they die. However, to those who were terminally ill and through with life, the cry might be a welcome sound and might allow them to enjoy their final days on Earth. Thank you for watching Life's Biggest Questions. I hope this was interesting and informative, and maybe even inspired you to look into it further on your own. If you like this video, please thumbs up and subscribe to the channel down below. While you're down there, let me know what you would do if you heard the scream of a banshee. Until next time, I'm Ron Mackenzie Lafergie with Life's Biggest Questions, wishing you the best of luck on your quest for answers.